I'm compelled to make this video because a very good friend of mine who plays keyboards beautifully, a chap called Bob Goodwin, wrote to me about Brexit. And whilst he plays beautiful music, we disagree fundamentally on Brexit. And I'm afraid, Bob, you're wrong. Sorry to be so blunt, but you call a spade, so I'm doing exactly the same. I'm not a snowflake, as you know. So he came up with a load of stuff telling me that we should never go back to the EU, rotten institution, and we should, move on with Brexit. And it was marvellous opportunities. And he explained them, 6 of them. And I'm afraid you probably read the Mail or the Express, Bob. So every morning with your cornflakes, you're taking in a bunch of lies. You should really read my books and everything else. I know you probably think I'm a bit of an intellectual twat, but nevertheless, what I say is true. So anyway, here we go. The first thing Bob said is we're going to save a fortune. We're saving a fortune by not being in the EU. Wrong. Actually, it's 12 billion we're saving every year. It's costing us 100 billion every year in lost opportunity and 40 billion in lost revenue. 140 billion is a lot more than 12, Bob. It could have paid for the nurses, the doctors, social care, wiping bums, all of that, because none of that's coming forward because Brexit is literally costing us the earth. It isn't a net gain. I'm sorry, that's completely wrong. The second thing Bob said was we can control our laws. Which ones, Bob? I've yet to find anyone that can tell me what laws we were being controlled by this awful EU. Were we being made to drive on the right side of the road? What were we being made to do that we don't have to do anymore? And before anyone says, "Oh, we could got the vaccine quicker," that's a lie. You can check it out on Full Fact. So there's I can't think of any laws that we're now making that we weren't able to make when we were in the EU. The EU has a very light touch on the constituent countries and often provides inputs in terms of money, in terms of environmental seaside towns and what have you. But it doesn't say you can't have Cornish pasties and all the like of it. We've always had Cornish pasties. I've had too many of them, actually. Thirdly, Bob, I nearly coughed me. I didn't have a pasty for dinner, but if I had have done, I would have nearly coughed it up when you said number 3. You said, we can now control our borders. I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? Do you know how many migrants are coming over since Brexit? It's far more than before, because of course France doesn't really have to take them back anymore. We're a third country, and of course we have to pay them to patrol the shores. So we're losing money there as well. But anyway, carry on with your illusion that the borders are sealed and the wall is up, the moat is on, and there's no foreigners coming here. By the way, since we're both of a certain age, Bob, I doubt when you get ill, you'll want to go into the NHS and be, treated by foreign people, because you wouldn't want to do that, would you? I mean, I was ill last year. I saw 14 people, 13 of whom were bloody foreigners, and I was very happy about it. And lots of people aren't coming here because it's so difficult to get here. So the legal migration and the what have you, we've killed all that with Brexit. And we can't have more walls. We need more bridges in a global society, like it or not. Just a fact. Now, Bob then went on to exports and said we can do more exporting now. Well, so we can. The trouble is, the borders, we haven't even controlled the borders. We're letting stuff in. So we've got contraband in. So is that what you want? So, we've delayed the implementation of the Brexit deal on borders. So everything's coming through the borders, unchecked, foreigners, the lot. So there we have that. So number 4, I'm afraid I can't let you have that one. And then he said, we're paying lots of money. We don't have to pay lots of money for COVID because, the EU, we don't have to pay into that fund for COVID. Look, I used to work in pharmaceuticals, Bob. I know more about pharmaceuticals than you do, I'm afraid. And you cannot say, we're not paying for the pandemic. You can have your pandemic over there. The whole point about pandemic is pan. And we all have to put in to do it. So saying, it's someone else's responsibility is so typical of Brexiteers who think that you're going to be all right. Well, just try getting COVID and then say, I don't want any vaccines. I don't want any treatment. I don't want any protection from pandemics. It's not a happy place. Lastly, you said we can do as many imports as we want now. Exports. Well, the CPTPP deal that we signed and Kemi Badenoch, paraded, is worth 0.08% of GDP over 10 years, and that's an optimistic forecast. That actually means in English it's 1/50th of the trade we had on our doorstep with the EU. So all the other trade deals added together aren't worth a light. Yes, we've signed some trade deals and we can get coconuts from Tonga, which we could have done in the EU, of course, but we can now get them without having to go through that awful bureaucracy. But I'm afraid, respectfully, Bob, I come back to your keyboard playing skills are exemplary, but you're talking complete horse shit. I'm sorry, mate. And I could go on. I suggest you read my book, Private Eye Lines, because it's full of facts to deflate the fantasies that the Daily Mail and the Express and the Sun are feeding people for their breakfast. So have a look at it. It's very good. Apart from that, I'll see you down the pub sometime, I expect. Although there aren't any pubs after Brexit, are they? Because even Tim Martin is closing them because he can't get people through the door and he doesn't sell nice beer anymore. On that happy note, I'll bid you farewell.